We're continuing with our study of Mareh Yaakov. As with every week, we're going to go through something from this week's Parsha and see if what we learned is applicable. So we read Parshat Korach this week, and in Parshat Korach we have several rebellions, and one of them is settled by Moshe telling the 12 leaders of the 11 leaders of the tribe and Aaron to take their staff. They put it in front of the Aron Kodesh, and miraculously the next morning Aaron's staff blossoms, and flowers, buds, and almonds come out of it. So there are a variety of different opinions as to the levels of miracle that happen here, but I think we're gonna simplify and try and go by the Abarbanel's interpretation, which is that unlike the natural order of the way an almond tree would bloom, which is that you would bud and then flower, and then the flowers fall off and the almonds grow there. The miracle is that all of these things, in fact, stayed on the staff, and all three were present. So Rashi's interpretation, by the way, is completely different. Rashi's interpretation is that it happened in the natural order, that it budded, or it bloomed into flowers, it budded, and then the almonds grew. Moshe took it out once the flowers had out, so the flowers fall off. Moshe took it out and showed it to the people, and either brought the flowers with him, or the flowers fell off and it bloomed and grew the almonds while people were looking outside. So again, what's the going on here? We're having a debate between whether this is a miracle that is happening by the rules of nature or above the rules of nature. So the debate focuses on the idea that if people were going to be convinced that Aaron was the rightful leader, certainly they would have been convinced by the unnatural event that happened to Datan v'Aviram, the ground opening up like a mouth and literally swallowing up those people. So if they weren't convinced by an supranatural miracle, something that goes outside the rules, they needed something that was inside the rules in order to convince them. So something that was happening that was beyond what would normally happen, so it still is miraculous, and yet it's still following the pattern of nature. The tree blooms, flowers, buds, and then the nuts grow. So all of those elements were there. They were speeded up, so there still is a miracle, but there's a miracle that follows nature, and therefore if things happen according to the rules of nature, Aaron's leadership should be according to the rule of nature. So we actually have an exceptional set of notes that go under these words that tell us about the staff blooming. There are only 3 examples in Torah of this particular thing happening.
Is Karnei Parah? What is it?
It is not Karnei Parah. What I'm going to show you.
I know.
That's okay. I know you're excited.
Good. Like an almond tree, because an almond is... Okay, I'll say it later.
Okay. So, what happens is, we've learned before about something called Nasog Achor. When you have a short word, or a word that has the first syllable accented, what it will do to the word before is it will make the note on the word before move 1 syllable back, so that you don't have 2 accented syllables next to it. So literally the note on the previous word is pushed backwards, is Nasog Achor, it's pushed backwards.
Is this Yatit? Not what you said about
Yatit,
is it?
We'll get there. This is not about Yatit.
Yeah, I thought you said something similar. Okay.
So there is a separate rule about Nasog Achor, that when the syllable that the accented was supposed to be on has a tzera, has the two dots under it, an A sound under it, that word, that syllable, I should say, still gets an extra accent. It gets a makaf. So that the word is not actually mil'el or milra. It's part of both. It's not the first syllable being accent, and it's not the second syllable being accented. There are only actually 3 places in Torah where this happens, and 2 of them are in this sentence. So we're going to show you Vayotze Ferach. So why is it Ferach, not Perach? Because we've got the Aleph affecting the dot and the pay, so there's no dot there. Ferach, the syllable that's accented is the first one, so that is pushing the note here backwards to the beginning. But because of the tzera, this one also gets a makaf, also gets a little bit of pronunciation. So it's sort of 2/3 of the pronunciation goes back here, and about 1/3 goes here. So instead of the way that it normally would be said, and actually that comes in the next sentence, instead of vayotze, with the accent being here, it's vayotze. And not only that, what you're doing is you're giving the tse a little more time than you normally would. So it's not vayotze, it's vayotze. So you have more accent on that. So what we're having here is we're having something that is happening within the order of the notes, and yet it's exceptional and above the notes. So again, when we talk about what we thought was happening with the process, we see that this is within the rules and yet a little bit above the rules. And it happens again with the next combination of words. Seats has the note here, so that moves this one back to the beginning. And again, because of the tzera, this gets a little bit of pronunciation as well. So it's vayotze ferach, vayatze tzitz. So you have all of the syllables in those first 2 words get a little bit of something. So each stage gets an importance, gets something that is above a little bit what it would normally get. And if you want to know, the other one in Torah is Hasham Ma'am Kol Elokim. So it comes in Dvarim. So when we get to that one, we'll see that that's the 3rd one in Torah that has that. There are a couple in Nach as well, but just to say that the notes tell us a little bit of the story and a little bit of the midrash of what is actually happening with the stages of the development of the various things that come onto Aaron's staff.
You could write the rest of his papers on the other 4 books, because if you